Good afternoon. Madam Clerk, would you call the roll, please?
Sorry. Kyle Miller,
Here.
Latoya Harris. Present. Maxine Miller. Here. Monica Davis. Here. Don Etherly. Here. And Joe St. Columbia is not in attendance.
We have a quorum. Old business. Approval to approve minutes from the previous city council meetings. We'll table that to the next meeting. Treasury report.
I mean, gave city council. Email and put it for the change. I haven't had time to go over. If you have any questions, give me a call.
Thank you. City attorney. Okay. New business. Water business. Communities Unlimited. Okay. Come back to landfill. Nothing on the landfill, nothing has changed with rigs. Truck purchase, Mr. Valley, Mr. Murdoch in the hall. We got landfill, truck purchase. There was given rig and next.
On the truck purchase, I think we still haven't finalized the proposal yet. We're waiting on the finance company. And they communicated with me today. They're waiting on us as a city to send them some more information.
Yeah, I need to talk with him about. He wanted a debt schedule, and so I need to know exactly what so I'll get in touch with him tomorrow and see exactly what he was referring
to. Excavator rental.
The excavator rental, the excavator we continue to rent to move dirt in the landfill at a rate of $6,700 a month. And at this point, because I think we need to do approval for 2 months at this rate. And so that'd be July and August. And since we're coming up on September real quickly, I just actually approve it through September while you're considering whether you're going to buy an excavator.
The body like taking any action on that excavator rental.
Mr. Valley, did you ever give us, I know you've given us information on the dump truck. Did you ever give us any quotes or anything like that for an excavator?
Yes, sir. We gave out some used excavator purchase at like $185,000 for $6,700 a month. And then we had the gentleman who presented like in January or February and came back maybe a month ago. He wanted to sell us the articulating truck and a new excavator. It was over $700,000.
Do you still have that? Can you get that to me? Can you forward that email to me or whatever the information?
I can gather it up again,
Okay.
yes, but it's been given to the body a couple of times. But we can do it again. I can have it for the September meeting. That's what you want.
Okay, but get it to me so I can kind of, run some stuff and then.
Do your numbers.
Yes, sir.
Okay, well, I'll get with you tomorrow.
Okay.
What was the previous rental amount? I might have missed.
I didn't hear you, Mr. Astor. What was
The previous rental amount, I
6,700.
6,700. That was for 30 days. Right?
Yes.
That's for 30 days.
Yes.
For 2 more months?
So we haven't, you didn't approve July yet. Then we in August, so that's 2. And we almost through with August, so we need September too.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's what I was saying, just approve the rental through September
And the rental is for what?
for that excavator.
Excavator.
Yeah.
So what's going on with, I kind of like to have these updates for the landfill. So what's going on with the dozers now at the landfill?
The
dozers. Yes, sir.
dozers, they have basically been repaired, the 2 that we own.
Okay,
They're still giving out some codes, and Bruce and Tammy continue to research and work with that. So they're using them some, they're not working at full capacity or full speed. So they have one dozer that we're using that's a room, that's an open cab. So out there in the midst of the dust and the flies, the 2 that we're paying for are air conditioned in cabs and all of that. But they have codes where you have to call out the Caterpillar dealer in order to get them to run appropriately. But just this morning, when I was talking with Tammy, she mentioned that they had gotten the smaller one up and running. The big one, it's been running, but not at full capacity.
okay. Now, the dozers aren't, you said you were having some problems getting some code from somebody because we weren't paying. Is that the dozers or was that some other piece of equipment?
Those are the dozers
Okay,
that they will not come down because of this dispute we're in with them. Yeah, which part of me feel like it's illegal for them to do that.
okay.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
I calculated 3 months. That's July, August, and September, $6,700 per month to be $20,100. So I will move to approve that amount for the excavator rental.
Second.
Mr. Ether moves to pay the excavator rental for $20,100 for the next from July, August to September. Mrs. Harris seconds the motion. Any discussion? Madam Clerk, would you call the roll?
Ms. Harris? Yes. Mr. Miller? Yes. Ms. Maxine Miller? Yes. Ms. Davis? Mr. Ether?
Yes.
Motion carried. 5-2.
The minimum wage adjustments per CPI.
On item C, do we have an ordinance for that? I know the council approved it, but we don't have an ordinance.
I'm sorry,
City attorney's office.
that's the hauling service fee approval 5 tonnage.
Wait a minute. Back up a minute. So the increase for the CPI?
No.
We
Item C.
we're on C.
C is the hauling services fee approval.
What was the amount for that?
That's the one where the council approved $75 per hour hauling rate. And you told us that we need to reduce it to an ordinance such that we don't have any conflict with serial contracts.
Oh, okay. I don't have that before you tonight. I'll have it for the next council meeting.
All right. Okay, now, Mr. Treasurer, item D, minimum pay adjustment per CPI. Well, you gonna present it or you want?
No, when he said that the council had already approved it, and
No.
he mentioned, so that was my question.
Oh, no,
No.
he meant item C.
C.
Yeah, the council has not voted on this minimum pay. I think they were waiting on a report from the treasurer.
The only thing, I haven't given it to you.
Okay.
Did you send me that email a few weeks ago? I just forgot to send you the information. I had already done the calculations, and we didn't get to it last city council meeting, so I just haven't forwarded that spreadsheet to you with the cost. I think it was somewhere in the neighborhood of, I don't want to get out. I'm thinking about $70-something thousand. I'm not sure, but I just need to forward that email to you.
Okay, so we can come back to this.
Yeah, and then we can just come back when we talk about whatever we talk about tomorrow. I can discuss it with you tomorrow.
All right. Item E, Ms. Harris and Ms. Flora are kind of teaming up somewhat on this animal control ordinance. Are we ready to go forward on that, or we're gonna come back to that? Come back. Okay. Yeah, absolutely.
Where are we with the animal control shelter as far as being able to open up and?
Miss Sander maybe is better able to answer than I am, but the animal control shelter is awaiting, what is it? The septic tank, connecting the septic tank. We kind of had a text back and forth today with Miss Flora. She says the septic tank, adding water, hot water heater, and a sink to wash dishes, as well as fencing. She's left messages for the Forest City septic tank people and provided an estimate on a fence from Hardeman. So there's a few things that need to be done. I know that there was some discussion back and forth between Ms. Florick and the purchasing officer about some of the estimates that was earlier this year. But I thought the mayor had approved them to go forward and get done whatever they need to do. And so maybe I just need to follow Ms. Florick to see where she is on that kind of thing. Because the landfill people are complaining that there are some dogs at the landfill. I don't know how they got there, who put them there, what have you, but we got some dogs at the landfill and they're doing what dogs do. They're using the bathroom and all kinds of things in places where people work, in that shed that's out there, not in the building that was purchased for animals. They're in the shed where we store the hydraulic fluid, weed eaters, lawnmowers, stuff the guys work with every day. It's the only shed they got out there. So that's getting to be, let's just say the people are crossways about it. And I don't know how the animals got to the landfill. But Ms. Miller, by the 5th, I have your full report, and maybe we get the mayor to get somebody moving on the plumbing. Because I know that was a concern with the plumbing part.
Yeah. I did tell her with the septic tank to go ahead and get an estimate on that. And if it was over my spending authority, I had to bring it before you all. I did tell, she was asking about fencing. That is going to be way over my spending authority. So she needs to bring you all an estimate on how much that's going to cost. And I did, as well as the city clerk, and I did tell her that they were over what you all had approved in the budget for them to spend. And they're taking chunks out of other departments' money. So we just been trying to work with her on that, but she is way past the limit that you all have set for animal control. Now, if you all want to appropriate more money for that, you will have to talk to the treasurer. But me and the clerk, am I right, Madam Clerk? We did tell her that we have reached what the limit, but the clerk did say, and I agree with the clerk that we would try to see what we could do. I think the septic tank was like 7,000. How much is it? Like 7,000. So that it needs to come before you. The fencing was like maybe what $9,000 or $10,000 for fencing. When this first came to me, I was thinking, well, maybe she can try to get a 501c3 where she can accept donations for the project that she's working on, because I don't want to put, if we're spending this kind of money already and we hadn't even got it up and running. The Bissell Foundation gave $50,000. We had to match it with the concrete, the moving of all this. We've reached that, and the body appropriated money to do more things, and with salary and vet bills, we have depleted all of that. So you all may have to see where you can grab some more money to put into that for her. But I can't do anything without you all appropriating and approving that. So that's where we are. Have a great night.
To clarify one thing, we still owe about $66,000 on that account. We paid the $50,000 that the Bissell Foundation gave. And but we still owe $66,000. I've not made any payment. They have called someone when they get something, I don't have anything to tell them. And He's right, the total fencing, she needs outside fence and an inner fence, and that's 12,500. And y'all had talked about letting her have the smaller fence on the inside possibly, but her funding is needed for, if you're running a rescue shelter, for travel and expenses for taking the animals out of town to have them rehomed or adopted or whatever. And then you're talking about veterinary bills for vaccinations and things and food. And right now we're absorbing the cost of whatever utilities are out there, because as the mayor said, she's reached it, whatever you allocate, you know. And we don't want to go over until you appropriate more money.
So the kennel wasn't $50,000?
No, the kennel was about 115 maybe, and we paid 50 on it, we still owe 66. And I haven't made any payments on that 66 because we haven't had it.
That was, we had a $50,000 match.
Mhm.
We haven't paid our match.
We haven't paid our match plus the overage.
Well, I mean, my suggestion is that we deal with our initial debt first before we incur additional debt.
Paying off the 60.
Mhm. What's a kennel if they come get it?
I haven't even asked them if they'll come get it.
So we need to try to make sure we pay that. Any more questions? Okay, before we move to item F.
F. The bond financing part is not ready yet. There's been some discussions, but in order to do a bond, it's got to be placed on items that will last the life of the bond. So if it's 25 years, it's got to be something that will last that long. So we're not there on that. Item G, I don't see Roosevelt. I don't think they have anything tonight.
Okay, item H.
So we'll keep it in front of the council, but I don't think we have anything tonight. All right, on the street pothole report, this was requested by one of your council members. The pothole machine has not been functional for about a month. So it works for a while, then it doesn't. So we've been using alternative field, including we get some material from the concrete yard and put that into those holes. It generally holds up for a while, but better than gravel, but not as well as asphalt. And we were presented with an alternative asphalt that I'm going to ask the mayor for permission to order. It's going to cost like $1,200 to get it. It comes in 50-pound bags. It's not sticky or any of that. So the guys can go out, put it down, and then they can just drive over to compact it. We have a patch of it right out by where the mayor parks. If you'll notice, it's a patch that's been 2 or 3 weeks. So he came so we could try that out. And that might expedite repair of some of the potholes.
You said it's $1,200 for a 50-pound bag?
No. It's $1,200 worth in 50-pound bags.
Oh, okay.
It's a pallet. Okay. Not $1,200 for a 50-pound bag. I'd be selling it.
What you said? Wait a minute.
Fixed or can it be fixed or does it need to be?
It can be fixed. We're always in the process of fixing something.
Mhm.
And so it's kind of got moved down on the priority list, I guess, as your mechanics go. The priority is the knuckle boom trucks. And then after those, they work on other items depending on what's going on that day. So they haven't did the asphalt machine lately. I'll check on it to see what the holdup is.
Please,
Yeah, because I know we got plenty of potholes to fill.
yes.
Yes. Yeah. All right, then 10th Street and Quarles Lane. I believe we cut that. Have you seen it? You haven't seen it, yeah. Well, we from Jackson around 10th to Quarles Lane down to Walmart. And they did some weeding, but it was cut with a bush hog in the last 2 or 3 days. that was done. And hopefully that go through and spray it, so you don't have to. And then we can skip the item L and then come back. Item L was 12th Street dilapidated structures. That's been turned over to code enforcement, and they're working on that. But I don't know, Dr. Miller, 12th Street, I said some bad things about 12th Street. They were honest, but 12th Street is uninhabitable. And so we asked code enforcement to do their thing on 12th Street. I think it may be one family living on 12th Street, maybe. It's just awful. It's difficult to get down the street. All the yards are overgrown with trees 12 to 18 feet tall. They're saplings. So Alderman Harris got a call about that, and so we're addressing that among other things, but they're addressing the 12th Street. So then we can go back to item J. Lawsuit status with the county jail. I don't know if we're doing anything on that. I know the league had sent several emails back and forth to, I was in the circle, but I believe it was to our city clerk and our mayor requesting information and input, which they did in turn provide to Mr. Mann. Bill Mann came here and spoke to you a few weeks ago about the Pat Lenore lawsuit. Was the same lawyer on the county jail. And so they're working on that information, trying to figure out what is to be done, whether we owe, and if so, how much we owe. From a historical perspective, the county has not been very good at keeping records on which inmates, which detainees, because they're not inmates until they're sentenced, which detainees belong to the city, which ones belong to the county, which ones were misdemeanors, and which ones were felons. And so that's part of what they're working their way through to figure out how much we owe, if any, and how that's to be resolved. So that's the status as I know it. Now the clerk and the mayor may have more information.
I'm sorry, Mr. We got guests. I need to.
Right, Mr. Bayless.
Yeah, Mr. Bayless.
Yes, I spoke with him, and because you had the next to the last item, I was gonna let you do it after that.
And we have Mrs. Stevens as well. Mrs. Stevens as well after.
Okay, yes, sir.
Just quickly. So when the inmates leave the counter, when they are checked into the counter, how do we, do we get an invoice? Do we get a bill?
They're supposed to get an invoice monthly from the county jail saying that we house X detainees for X number of days, and they belong to the city of Helena-West Helena at $45 per day. The question is, because they belong to the city of Helena-West Helena if our police officers took them there. But the question is, were they taken there for a misdemeanor, let's say shoplifting at Walmart, or are they taking that for a felony, let's say shoplifting with a gun at Walmart?
And if it's a felony, then it's
felonies on the county.
Gotcha.
Misdemeanors on the city. Felonies, they typically get a high bond because we keep poor people locked up because they can't make a bond, and then you end up paying for it. And then when they finally get sentenced to probation, they back out. But on the misdemeanors, they typically bring them to court in a few days. So you shouldn't have a misdemeanor in the county jail very long at all. But that's not always what happens. Sometimes they'll let somebody slip through. They'll be there 30, 45 days. They won't appear on the bill. And things like that happen. Yeah. So that's what they're trying to figure out.
So is the plan to negotiate something, or just basically right now we're just trying to find out
I think
if we owe anything?
We're trying to establish the facts and then maybe negotiate once you know what the facts are. Because just historically, and I don't mean this against the county, but historically, their billing records have not been the best at all. And of course, they just, like anybody else, they want to get the most money they can collect. Not that they're being dishonest, but the records aren't always accurate.
So the goal right now is basically do an exploration to see if we in fact owe anything.
Correct.
Okay,
And if we do, how much that is,
okay.
and then pay, because I think they found in the records, we have paid some money in the past. I've always taken the position that the city of Helena-West Helena should not pay the county jail one single dime, because the citizens of the city of Helena-West Helena are already paying for the county jail to exist and to operate. So then you want us to take the money, we already got it operating, and pay again, so we're paying twice
Okay.
for the same jail to do the same thing that we paid for it to do the first time. Then the third thing,
And not to drag this out, because I think this is really important. Explain that though. Explain why what you're saying that the.
I'm sure. So as citizens of the county of Phillips,
Yes, sir.
we pay taxes.
Yes, sir.
Those taxes go to operate our county jail, right? And that's the county's portion of the taxes. Then the county is asking you to turn around as citizens of the city of Helena-West Helena and pay again on top of those taxes to operate the same jail, to do the same thing that it's doing with the money you paid them in the first place.
I got you.
Now, thirdly, when we did the last jail tax, the city of Helena-West Helena gave up $700,000 of its 2-cent sales tax, or whatever, the 1-cent sales tax is going to the county jail to assist the county jail with its existence.
Okay. Now, was that flat? Or is that per year?
That's per year.
So we already give them 700,000 per year,
We're taking a reduction and the money is going to the county.
and that's
It may actually be more now as the tax increases with inflation and all of that.
but at
But
least
at the time of the election, it was 700 or 750,000. Actually, what was the number?
Like
750. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's probably increasing as the sales tax collection increase, because it changed the percentage of money that goes to the county and then goes to the city. The way the sales tax is done, you allocate money for the jail, and then what's left over is prorated based on population to the city. And then the next population is the unincorporated areas in the county. So that's the county. And then to Marvel, the largest city, then Elaine, Lakeview, and Lexa, based on population.
Thank you.
Yeah, so we're paying twice, and plus we gave up money. But that's me on the soapbox. That's a practical matter. Whatever this body decides to do, it can. The league always told me when I was the mayor that we shouldn't have to pay again. Now, I don't know what the league is saying now, and part of it is the league now represents the city and the county. So.
Then there's also the jail fees from court. A person goes to court, say you get a speeding ticket, you pay a jail fee, you pay a ticket. So they get actual money from, if you get a ticket driving on Sebastian, you're in city limits. It's not a jailable offense, but you pay a jail fee, so they also get that.
Right, $20 a ticket.
They jumped after me in the complaint they filed and said they hadn't received any money for an entire calendar year, but they get those on a monthly basis from the city. So that was on its face.
Thank you, Mr. Edwards, for that.
Okay.
And they get those in spite of the fact that the sheriff department don't write any tickets.
The city.
They're getting that money because our people are writing the tickets. You understand what I'm saying?
City police.
The city police officers writing the tickets that's generating the jail fee that the county is getting. Sheriff deputy don't write a ticket. You see them when you're going 100 miles an hour, keep going.
Yeah, the jail tax is about, I mean, they have a 2-cent county tax, so 1 cent is actually the county jail tax. 1%, and it's over $100,000 a month. It's over $1 million a year that they receive in that one particular tax, and that tax is to operate the county jail. That's their one tax, and then I guess he's saying that they want us to pay in addition to that from the old harbor tax. That's what was reallocated.
Okay.
And so they want us to pay in addition to the over $1 million that we pay to operate, that the citizens pay to operate the tax. Then they want us to pay for inmates, well, detainees, but they do get over $1 million a year in the county jail tax.
So
the
long and short of it is the last jail tax proposal was not well thought out. It did not include major stakeholders like council members, people from the city government and others. It was sold as It's gonna reduce crime. And because this jail here was not operational, we need a new jail. What they didn't include was the plan to do anything about this jail. They're still not operational, just sitting over there. The code enforcement, all condemned, made the county pay to tear it down. And we still hadn't reduced crime based on the jail. Because jails are not crime reducing items. They just don't do it. That's not even their role. You got to change people's hearts and their consciousness in order to reduce crime. All right,
Let it K.
The next item is the report on the past due payables. I know the clerk has given one before. I don't know if you ready to update that or change anything, Madam Clerk.
Right now, on the past due, we probably still owe about 400,000 because we are trying to keep our head afloat by staying current on some of the bills we have. But our big expense right now is equipment repair in all the departments and the payments on equipment and things like that we have going out. And we have, the city attorney has negotiated a couple of settlements with some of these companies that we owe in excess of 100,000 to, which it has to be paid every month. And we're just trying to get current, but sales taxes have been down and expenses are up, utilities, gas, oil, grease, things like that. But, you know, our hope is to get everything paid off by the end of the year. So we'll start into the 2024 inbound.
And we are trying to take care of local vendors. That's our thing. If you're local, we're trying to pay you first. Because that's what keeps money rolling in this community. And I advise people to spend money local, buy local, so that we can keep our money circulating. We have to get things out of town, but I sure hate when you go. Because I'd like you to spend your dollars here. I spend my dollars here because I like to see them turn around. Because if we spend money locally with people, that's the hospital, that's the college, that's the school district. We need to spend money right here in town. That hurts us when, and I know we don't have everything, but the things we do have, if you're gonna buy some, please buy it here. I mean, if you have to go out of town, it hurts me. I wish I can have it shipped to your door from my door. But we need that keeps us afloat.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, this agenda says final as of 5:49 p.m. today. It's the same one I sent out on August the 3rd as a draft. So it hadn't changed since then. But there are two people who are here that were, it's my understanding, left off the agenda. So we're asking you to allow them to speak. One is a guest from Memphis, Mr. Cody Bayless, and the other is our local business owner, Miss Mary Stevens. And so in whatever order the mayor called them up with the council's approval.
Mr. Bayless is from the University of Memphis. So we met a couple of days ago and he got some good news for us that I think we really need to hear, and Mrs. Stevens as well. So if you all would, Mr. Bayless, you can come forward.
Mr. Bayless.
Hello, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Hello. Thank you for having me down here. I appreciate it. I actually have a handout, and I realize you probably have not heard what I'm talking about yet, so that's okay. I'm going to share that with you, pass that around. Just a second ago. Yeah, so my name's Cody, and I'm coming from the University of Memphis, and I'm down here to talk about a project that we're doing with the support of the Delta Regional Authority to help communities across the Delta region, specifically the Mississippi Delta region in Tennessee, Arkansas, and Mississippi, to create sustainable community wealth, primarily through grant funding. My background is I'm Director of Research Development for the University of Memphis, and I work with every community partner that we have that goes through the university, every researcher at the university, to apply for grants at federal through federal agencies. A lot of the agencies you've worked with, USDA, EDA, FEMA, as well as science foundations and places like that. And through our conversations with DRA, what we came to kind of an understanding on and what they want us to help with is in order for your communities to transform in the way that you want to and to thrive in the way that you want them to thrive, you have to have money. And money's not easily come by. And grants are about the only way that you can get money, that you can do things that you want to do that can change the conversation about your community. And so over the next year, we are going to be working with 8 communities in a pilot project, which is what I circulated here. And if anybody in the audience wants one, I could have a few extra. But what we're going to be doing is working with these 8 communities that DRA identified to help you in the pursuit of grants. This is not a grant workshop. This is not us teaching you how to fish, although we certainly will be doing some of that. This is about strategically collaborating to get funding from federal agencies for the challenges that align with your strategic plan for your community. I had a chance to talk to the mayor a few weeks ago about sort of everything that's going on in your community. One of the things that's so exciting about the communities that we're working with is they all have so much optimism and hope and direction. And we want to help you to realize that, because it's hard to do it with just your base budgets. And so over the next year, we're going to be working with 1 to 2 people that the mayor identifies to go through this program, where we will be working with them to identify the strategic needs of the community based on your strategic plan and your existing work, and then to find funding from federal agencies that support addressing those priorities. The types of things we're going to be doing are, of course, grant writing, but we'll also be doing workshops and resource development around things like impact investing, things like how to leverage bonds to address challenges in the community. We'll be looking at post-award management. One of the things that we hear from communities a lot is, I don't have the team to apply for grants, or I don't have the team to manage grants. We don't have that resource in our community. We don't have a designated grant writer. And even if you do, it's just one person, and one person has a lot of other duties and responsibilities as well. And so what we want to do is, with these grants, create funding that will then enable sustainable development by bringing more grant writers to your community, training people and getting them staffed through grants so that they can then create more resources for all of the challenge areas that you're facing. That's the very high level. I'm happy to answer any questions or give you background or anything like that, but that's yeah.
I want y'all to understand one thing. This is what to the city? Free. This is free to, we have no cost.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Free.
Should have said that at the beginning.
It's
This doesn't
free.
cost you anything.
Free.
Yeah, this is free for you guys. So with the Delta Regional is funding us to do this for you. You are one of 3 communities in Arkansas that will benefit from this. It's yourselves, Eudora, and Osceola. There's 3 in Mississippi, and then there's 2 in Tennessee as well.
I was a graduate of the 22 class of the Delta Regional Institute.
Oh, great. Yeah, I was in the, I guess we weren't in the same class, were we?
I don't think so.
Okay, I was in DLI, I guess 21 maybe?
Yeah.
I don't remember. Recently.
So great.
Yeah. So you're familiar with the programs and the work that they do, and
Yes.
and Dr. Wiggins has made some really intentional investments to grow this region. I think you all know his background as well. So it's an exciting opportunity, and it's one, I think a lot of you probably have a perception about the University of Memphis. I hope it's positive, but we are in Tennessee, so I understand it's not. But I think we need to do a better job about working with the communities that help us as a region to thrive. It can't be, I don't want your citizens coming to Memphis and living in Memphis. I want them to stay here, and we need to build the resources to help them to stay here. And that's what this is about.
Any questions?
Any questions?
Any questions?
So there's an MOU on your desk, and that's really all we need to get you guys involved in this program. We're requesting your approval of a memorandum of understanding that includes almost identically the language that you have in front of you as far as what the program entails, of the cost, et cetera. Because I know you're saying this today, I'm not expecting a vote or anything right now, but we do want to try and get you on board before the end of the month if we can. Okay, well, there's no questions. The mayor has my contact information. I'm happy to stay after if anybody wants to talk.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We
Ladies and gentlemen of the council, I believe the mayor is going to ask you to authorize him to sign the MOU pending city attorney review and approval. Is that right, Mr. Mayor?
yes, that's correct.
Need a motion. I'd like to move that we enter the terms of the MOU agreement with Delta Region Authority.
Davis seconds the motion. Any discussion? Madam Clerk, would you call the roll?
Ms. Harris,
Yes.
Mr. Miller,
Yes.
Maxine Miller,
Yes.
Ms. Davis, Mr. Etherly.
Yes.
Motion carried 5-0.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, our last agenda item is, I guess, Miss Mary Stevens.
Ms. Stevens has some pictures that is passed around. She wants to talk to you all about.
Okay, so again, I'm here about the same situation with my building. They did come out and see what day it was. They came out in April, I think. Nope, they came out March the 29th. And they dug the ditch. But I spoke with Mr. Valley probably, I think, back in May. No, it was March 30th. I spoke with him. And he was telling me about the ditch digging between Ashler and Sam Street. But prior to that, another storm come through. So that storm, again, the ditch digging didn't do anything with, the flooding over to our building from the city's ditch. Is like literally destroying now. It's like destroyed. I mean, it's nothing that I can do. So I tried to go out and get other estimates. Nobody came out to try to look at it. So I was just gonna go with the estimate that I gave you guys once before to try to get my floor fixed. My fence, those pictures that you see, the fence have been down since, I think March, they took it down. Now you see the overgrown grass beside it have like grew up so much into where it has smothered our apple trees out. The fence is not put back up. I mean, it's nothing that's been done. The water meter that sits right there at our building it's a water meter, and that water meter been leaking forever. It fills that ditch up.
the council members are looking at the pictures that Ms. Stevens had provided. And once you all through it with looking at the picture, whatever actions you all want to take. And
So it's actually April 26th. I spoke to Mr. Valley about the ditch. He was telling me it was flowing a little better, but the blockage was in Mr. Michael Hardison yard that stays right behind our building. So Mr. Hardison called me, probably, matter of fact, it was July the 18th. Mr. Hardison called me. And he told me now they were dealing with snakes. So I called Mr. Valley, James. And he told me he'll get somebody out there to cut the grass, but nobody's been out there. The water's still overflowing up on our building. I mean, and I don't know what to do at this point.
Mr. Valley, but the grass over this has been cut since then.
No,
Yeah, the grass has been cut. It hasn't been cut since then.
The grass cut after her call, but they didn't cut it off. They went down with the
Track.
bush hog, the small tractor that would only cut one edge of it. It didn't have the extended arm to reach across.
Okay.
And why they didn't go back with weedies and other things, I don't know, but it's probably still up. The fence, they took the fence down to work on the ditch and they haven't put that up, so they do need to put the fence back up.
you gotta find it.
Or they just buy some more, I guess, if it ain't there.
I mean, it's smothered with the grass and it's just,
Well, they can get that, but the drainage, this is the key, right? This is a flat area, it doesn't flow rapidly at all, the water starts across by the Boys and Girls Club, across the highway, and it comes across the highway, and it goes alongside of her property, under the property where Mr. Hardison is renting, and then it turns right and goes north to the end of his property line, and then it turns left and goes west across over
Behind the house.
Coranza Street by First Baptist Church and Vivian Holder's house. Then it turns and goes up almost to Garland, across to Baringo and Washington Street, and then up to the Washington Street Park and over to West Street, and then back down.
but we got the worst end of it.
It's flat. I don't know about the worst end of it.
Yeah, it's the worst thing because they have deteriorated. It's like literally, so I don't know if you guys know where our building sits. So if you, now that the rain have like literally deteriorated so bad up underneath, our roof is like now going this way. Because it started sinking, because due to the ditch overflowing in our yard. So I don't know, I mean, I don't know what to do at this point.
Well, let me just say this, the grass we can fix, the fence we can fix. The drainage, we've done all that us non-engineers can do. Of course, you all authorize the engineer to give you a report.
But he never come out.
I agree. That hasn't happened.
But he said he wasn't aware.
I don't agree. But going to the ditch, the engineers can come out, it's not gonna change the contour of the lane. And part of what I'm telling you is from the perspective, we built First Baptist Church, new sanctuary, 2 blocks down the street from this. And the drainage was one of the concerns we had. And that's why the church sits about 18 to 24 inches above the highway, above the street. Because our church at the back of it is floods, because it's flat. The water won't move fast, it doesn't go anywhere. And so it's just one of those things where that ditch was there when they built this building. What the city is gonna do about that, I don't know. A problem is real. But all we can do as the city employees is clean the ditch, cut the grass, put the fence up. That's kind of where we are. And that won't take long. We'll get that done in August. The fence will be back up. The grass will be cut again. Now that water leak, there's been a water leak there for a long time.
Whatever.
I don't know about at the water meter, but it's one at the fire hydrant.
Well, that's what it is, fire.
Yeah, fire hydrant is leaking right there on that corner. And so I'm sure Mr. Murdoch is working on something for that.
And what is the status with the engineer? Because it's not just her, it's also several other people that have come, or in the past, they addressed us. The Rogers, Mr. and Mrs. Farr, Miss Stevens and her family. So where are we with that? Because they came and said, am I correct or not?
You're correct. This body authorized the mayor to enter a contract with Smith and Wiley Engineering for up to $5,000 for a variety of projects without having to come back and get separate approval. And he was aware that he was here. And he's come back for separate things like the bridge and all of that. But we haven't gotten any report on any of it. And I guess we need to follow up with him to see what the status is on all of these projects. But typically when you're being paid at the hourly rate he is, you don't have to ask them for it. They bring it to you with a bill. But we'll follow up with that.
I'll reach out to him.
Ms. Ann, have you heard from them?
No.
But Ms. Stevens, this also falls upon, will be considered as a watershed project as well. So we'll be looking at that. That's part of the watershed program to address these issues on that side of town. So I'll reach out to Mr. Wiley in the morning, and I'll let you know something by the first meeting of September. But we got a lot of those issues, and that's why the Black Mayors Association, and we entered into agreement with them to handle watershed, because on that side of town, after she left, ABMA came here to talk about that issue, and those are one of the issues. One of the neighbors I told them about over there where flooding is real serious over on Sam Street, all that area floods bad. So over there where the housing authority, the project is over Marquette, that ditch from all back there, drainage issue all of there. So that's what the watershed will help us with. So I'm glad that
So have we heard anything from them? Because we've not
Yes.
had any more, conversations or
they're in
anything.
the planning stages now. So they're gonna be here to report back to us. So they're just at planning and then development and construction. So when they let me know some of my problems, I'll let you all know. They'll come back to this body to let you all know where we are, but they're in the planning stages now. So
So what would the watershed project have to do with me getting my floor fixed? Because honestly, I've been literally, I know a lot of y'all didn't know, because I went straight to the mayor, Holloway, and then I went to Smith. And now I'm here, and I mean, it's just I'm just dealing with it constantly, and my building can't continue to just sit there and deteriorate. My porch have like literally shifted from the building because of that water. It's too much mildew.
And drainage is definitely the biggest issue. We're hearing that consistently. So, and I hear the mayor say that he's going to find out about the engineers, and because that was what we were told.
Yeah,
If I
because
remember correctly,
when I did speak with the engineer, he said he wasn't aware of him supposedly been coming out. So I don't know. I'm just.
it's up to you all. I mean, I can't do anything with you all approval. I mean, that's why I hadn't taken anything, because whatever the amount is, you would have to approve it. I'm not gonna make a side deal and do
But I
that.
mean-
That's something the body has to approve
But did we not just discuss that?
with the
Did you
engineer.
say that when we talked about the
Engineer.
engineer?
Right.
And you said that something about the spending limit.
That's what it'll come out.
It's a couple of things. You all want to approve the engineer firm to go and look at plans for us drainage throughout several projects throughout the city. Part of the issue that we have here is, I think that this is an immunity issue for the city. The city is immune. Yes, the city needs to do things relating to improving drainage and et cetera. But part of it is we buy land, we get inspections, we do other things. And as it relates to the city's responsibility is for drainage, but it's has to be a drainage plan throughout the entire municipality. And when you retained the engineer, you wanted to go over and look, and they did some things, but they're waiting on his report. Part of the watershed, to answer your question, is there are areas throughout the city that are similar to yours. And not to just echo what Mr. Valley said, the chief of staff, the issue with that entire area, the mayor and I both have made it. We've given the information relating to the engineers that were hired as part of the watershed project about that entire topography, because fixing your one area doesn't resolve the whole problem. It's a regional issue in that entire area that you have that has to be fixed. And just simply cleaning out a ditch here is not a solution. It's going to have to look at an overall plan to correct drainage there. But also as homeowners and business owners, we have a responsibility when we see issues to take the affirmative steps to protect our own property. And that's not saying that you haven't, but I'm just saying there are certain things that we all have to deal with, whether you live on a hill, whether you live in a valley, whether you live in a floodplain. We all have to deal with the topography of the land that we have to deal with and take steps as owners to try to stop it. Now, I empathize with the fact that there's water running, but in many streets down the city, we have water that runs naturally, and we're trying to correct that as a city. And that's why we need an overall plan, because simply fixing that corner isn't going to suffice for us fixing the drainage. Because as the building chairman, when I was at First Baptist, the First Baptist hired his own engineer, and the engineer was to work with the city engineer, but our engineer gave us a report that it would take a plan throughout that entire area because the fall was so small. What I mean by the fall, there was no natural way to drain the water in that area, because if you go 6, 8, 10 blocks, there's only like a 2-inch fall. So the water won't naturally run. That has to be something that's engineeringly done in that area for an engineer to sit down and drain it and lay it. And you can't do it with your natural eye to make the water run from one area to the other. Going all the way around to Gringo Street and down is where you finally get to a hill. But if you go from your property all the way over to West Street, it's pretty level. And so it's a natural issue. It's not just that the city is not doing anything, but water runs, it has nowhere to run to. And so the city has retained Smith & Wildland to try to look at the issue and to see what it is we could do. And they gave some temporary relief by digging some issues there. And the mayor's cognizant of it, and the chief of staff is cognizant of it, and they're trying to see what they could do for greater relief. And while you have the issue, others in that area have the same issue. And again, I'm not trying to minimize what your issue is, but it's one of those things that takes a larger plan just to simply, let's dig out a ditch in this corner, because the issue is if you dig it too low, the water's going to go to one place, another place, and just sit there, because the topography is not designed. It's so flat, it's not able to simply naturally drain. We need an engineering plan for that entire area. And that's part of the reason why the mayor suggested put it in the watershed overall plan, because there has to be a larger engineering plan than just simply one block, one house, one structure. The entire topography of that has to be looked at and dealt with.
So I understand everything that you just said, but that's neither here nor there. This issue could have been fixed a long time ago, honestly, because when I went to Hollowell about it, I gave him the same paperwork that was handed to you guys. I went to Smith about it, same paperwork, nothing ever did. I'm always getting promised somebody gonna come out. Nobody never showed. I'm always getting promised, oh, your ditch is gonna get dug.
Well, we understand. The reason why, and not to dismiss you or anything, I promise you, that's why I asked the watershed, the watershed project people to get involved in this, because after you came, Ms. Miller, then Mr. Mr. Farr came, a guy came about that area. So I put everybody in the same pot to say, hey, these are the issues where we have flooding. So, I mean, if the body wants to take up the issue, then the body can. I'm not telling them it's up to them.
My building been shut down since.
And I mean, it's up to, it's over my spending. It's hold on, wait. It's over my spending limit. If the people that sit around this table want to make that decision, then that it's over my, it's just above my head. I would have to get approval from them to fix your problem.
I mean, a lot of y'all, I mean, Toya's a business owner. I don't know. I mean,
Right.
of course, I mean, you guys know about people, businesses, but my building been shut down for a while.
And I understand, but if they want to take action, it's over my spending limit. If they want to take action on it, then they're welcome to. I'm not telling them not to. It's up to them. It is over $5,000.
I mean, I understand. I heard Mr. Andre said that we should have did this or did that, and first we have to hire their own engineer. I have gotten that floor fixed twice. We came out of pocket to fix that floor. I can't do it no more. I mean, because I mean, it's not every time I get it fixed, it's doing the same thing. I mean, they saying the grass, you know what? It's just it's really frustrating.
Explain to me from your perspective why you feel this is a city issue.
That's the city's ditch that lies beside mine. This is our building. Beside our building is the city's ditch. That's the city's property. So when that ditch, when it rains and it storms real bad, I have the pictures right here. I have a video that I sent Mr. Valley. And you would see, yeah, Mr. James. You will see the overflowing of it. I mean, you want my phone? I can give it to you. But you can see the overflowing of the water, I mean, that comes from that ditch right there. I mean, it just flows all up under our building. So, I mean, I know that's a part of nature, but I've been complaining about this ditch for the longest. I continue complaining and complaining, nothing has never been done about it. And now it just have like destroyed out. I mean, it's destroying it from up underneath.
So what you're saying is if the ditch didn't overflow, your property wouldn't be damaged.
No, it wouldn't. Because all that water that's up, it's just the mildewed it out. It's, y'all saw the pictures the first time I was here.
Well, I think y'all said it from the opposite perspective. The city years ago did ditches for drainage, and it was to try to relieve drainage from other places. The drainage solution is what we need. Is what is the larger drainage solution for the entire area? Because yes, the city dug ditches years ago, but the issue is what she says: when it rains, the ditches overflow and it comes to the property. But the question is, it's not just a simple fix at the corner. It has to be a larger fix for the entire area. And that's what we need an engineer to go ahead and give a report on, so we can see the larger fix. Because simply, if we give relief there and dig a bigger hole or bigger ditch and put in culverts, it's going to move the water somewhere else. You're going to still have the same problem in the entire area. You're going to move it from here to here, and then from there to there. Until you get a full plan, it's not going to be any relief.
But how many people have you had in that area to come to complain to you guys about that? That
In that area?
That area.
Well, I know of your property, and I know of First Baptist, because the issue going back to First Baptist, every time it rains, water fills up the parking lot on the old side of the building, and there's no place really to park when it rains. Now, I don't go to First Baptist now, but if you go and look at the building, water's up on the, you go look at it, you see the dirt on the side of the building from where water comes consistently. Where the Masonic Lodge is, the ditch is there. If you go down to my mama's house, it rains, her backyard overflows when it gets a lot of rain. I mean, it just, that's what happens in certain areas. That's why we need a watershed project because it's a larger project. Now, I don't have, it's not that I don't have sympathy or empathy for you. I hear you clearly, and I hear your frustration clearly. But I'm saying until we get an engineer to show how to fix the problem, we can send them to Collins and down there to give them to digging, et cetera, but that may not be the relief that you need. We need to know how to drain it for the whole area, because once it comes to your area, it has to go somewhere. And how does it get there naturally? And that's the issue. That's the remedy we're looking for, is how to get that naturally. And so what I suggest is Mayor Franklin get back with Mr. Wilder so he can come and specifically look at it and try to develop a plan for that area to go ahead and get it to drain naturally. But I don't know where it's going to drain to. It probably going naturally. Yes, sir.
If I may, I've been listening patiently. When Ms. Stevens came earlier this year, the culverts in that area had probably 90% blockage. And so the ditch was not draining. At this time, the ditch has probably got 80% clearance. That is, we've gone through, dug the ditch, ran the sewer machine through the culverts, and then dug the ditch on from behind that housing project on Ashler over to Sam. Those were blocked. The one by Miss Bessola Robinson and Vivian Holder, it needs digging, but it's flowing. But even with it flowing, it spreads into their yards too. And then when it turns, it flows. We've gone out at night when it's raining and watched it. And the videos she sent us have been very accurate. When I got them, I wasn't surprised because I'd been out there in the water and saw what it was doing. But one of the things that I'm hearing as Ms. Stevens makes her presentation, she fixed it twice. If you fix it, what's going to change? Until you can figure out something to do with the water, you're going to continue to have this problem. And the doing something with the water is one of those things where you have to kind of live with flash flooding. It happens. Plaza Street, every time you get 2 inches of rain, you need to turn and go in a different direction because the flash flooding. Valley Drive from Campus Drive out to Oakland, it's a river. I have to take a different route home anytime we get 2 inches of rain. It happens there by Wendy's. Canyon Creek is better, but it happens there. And if I stay there long enough, I can tell you probably 50 other locations. Lambert Drive is having some sinking problems from the drainage that Mayor Weaver had put in. We're going to have to fix that. But back to her concern, her floor, if you fix it tomorrow and it rains the next day, we're going to have the same repeat problem.
Got some people coming out of Memphis. You guys had that estimate too. So what they were talking about doing, they were going to go back up under our building and they was going to put a pump. They was going to put a pump or something, and it was just so much that they were going to do. I don't know. It's honestly, this just, I mean, it was brought to, I mean, it's been brought, I mean, it's nothing, I mean, I can't do nothing else.
Well, I'd like to see the plan on the pump, because this is my concern with the pump. You're going to pump the water to where? It's going to come out from under your house into the same water that's out there. So
I don't know where they can pump the water. Only thing I'm concerned about is getting my floor fixed. My building has been closed too long. I mean, it's just sitting there, and I mean, let me figure out how to do something with my, do something around the area, because I mean, apparently I've been like complaining. It's nothing is being done.
Yes, ma'am. You keep saying nothing's being done.
Meaning, I mean, not, you guys did come out, meaning the last two, I mean, nothing was done. I mean, I think if this would have been fixed a long time ago, when I was complaining then, I wouldn't be having this problem now.
Would the body like to take any action on this issue?
Well, what I'm hearing from the city attorney is that we can't take any action as far as fixing floors and anything like that because of, you said, the immunity. I think our biggest thing right now is trying to hurry up and see if we can get the engineer on the bigger plan so that we can address yours and the Rogers and Farrs and everyone else. I mean, I would
I
think.
mean, so when will the engineer, I mean, the engineer's supposed to be out back in, I think, March, and he never showed. So, I mean, I'm not understanding. I mean, this was,
I'll contact,
this what, I mean,
To see if he can come out.
I'll contact him first thing in the morning.
Because that issue that you have is actually, like you say, it's a. Right hard. I can't, I go through that way. It's
well, I know. You
It's
can't
more
get
than
down
just-
Bonanza. I think that's Bonanza.
Sam,
That's it. Bonanza.
those streets.
I think
Just
that's Bonanza that sit on our side of the building. I think they're calling it Panama, but I think it's Bonanza. That's it. Side that building. I know that area there possibly flood from our building. So where you can't get down there, period.
in the streets behind your building, those streets flood. It's a city issue. No, it's a ward issue.
Ms. Stevens, I'll get in touch with Mr. Wyland in the morning and me and him will come out there and talk to you and try to get a solution to this problem. So that once we get that fixed, then we can see what's the next step for you. And hopefully it won't take us 4 years to get back with you. So I promise you, I'll get him out there in the morning and I'll make sure I make contact with you so you can see what's going on. At the same time I do, so you won't be like, no, I didn't get a response or a call back. I'll be out there tomorrow morning, me or the chief of staff, both of us will be out there with Mr. Wyland if he's available. And if he's not, I'll let you know when he is available so we can kind of take care of this issue. And once we get that issue fixed in, we can go from there. I promise you, we're gonna work to resolve this issue. And I apologize for in the past for people just sweeping this. They didn't know what to do, I'm assuming, but we're gonna figure it out together. We're gonna make this right.
Okay.
So I apologize. We're gonna work on your issue.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
I don't know which way it goes in the area, but I know the difference between the park and the hut is overgrown. And it generally has stagnant water in it on a daily basis, so.
Right.
If I think I'm hearing it, I think it all goes in that direction.
That direction
Yeah.
goes from outside the Washington Street Park and goes on back to West Street up by New Haven Church. It runs back from Washington Street Park all behind to Alabama on around to you get to West Street and it goes opposite west. So yeah. So yeah.
Ditch out on West.
Remember, we
some
thought they was
years
gonna
ago.
we thought that they was gonna put a pipe in and cover their ditch up on West Street. But when the Willis administration came in, that fell through.
Yeah.
They dug it out though.
Yeah,
but I don't
yeah,
think
they
it's
dug it
A
out.
little better, but I don't think it's.
And set the dirt in
It's
people's
fixed.
yard.
It's overgrown.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Where it sits at West Street in the Chicago Mill side. So the Chicago Mill side is here in the West Street. The people on West Street, my Aunt Vivian Gilchrist, who lived there, when you bagged down her driveway, you used to always be scared you fall in the ditch because the ditch could hold a whole car. So it's still the same way. West Street has less people than it did 20 years ago. You know, but it's still people travel that way to New Haven Church. You got some residents on the farther end down by New Haven, which is called Meadowbrook. So and then you got we're gonna work together and get this thing did. It's good to have a team who wants to see things change. So I appreciate you all. We're gonna work together to get these issues resolved together. I want to tell you all thank you for approving us to get these tractors so we can move forward on getting this grass cut down. Thank you all for approving any item that I bring to you all. Thank you for approving that so we can put our city in a different direction. As you all can look around this community, you see houses are being torn down, you see grass is getting cut, you see things are happening because what you all support. And I want to tell you, thank you for helping me to achieve some of my goals in this city. And I could not do it without you all. So I thank you so much for all that you all do for the street sanitation, water, police, fire, landfill. Thank you for that. You all have been good to these citizens in this administration on taking care of issues in this community. So if there's nothing else,
I move
we adjourn.
Second.
Mr. Ether, second. Ms. Harris, Mr. Ether, motions, Harris, second. Madam Clerk.